I was in England visiting friends when the historic link-up of the American and Russian spaceships took place, you remember, on July 19th, 1975. We watched on television in the sitting room of our friend's home in Newcastle upon Tyne as the well-rehearsed handshake took place. There was a speech by the Soviet premier and then the talk by President Ford. At one point in his talk, he asked General Stafford, who was seated with the Russian cosmonauts, if he had any advice for young people. Perhaps you remember what he said in reply. He said, in effect, that young people ought to decide on what they want to do and then stay with that decision until they do it. The perennial philosophy from an American general riding over England at 12,000 miles an hour. Decide on what you want to do and then stay with it until you do it. Recipe for a successful life from a man who ought to know what he's talking about. High over England that July day in 1975, an American general with one of the greatest audiences in history gave everybody in the world the word on how it's done. And I'm sure many thousands, perhaps millions, were affected by what he said. Perhaps changed by that ancient yet perennially fresh advice. Since that's about all there is to it, from an overall standpoint, that is, making up one's mind and then sticking with that decision until it's accomplished, why does there seem to be so much confusion? People often say, well, deciding on what you want isn't easy. But I don't think and never have that that's the real problem. I think the real problem with so many is that they can't really believe that they can have what they want out of life. And because of that lack of belief, settle for a lot less than they could otherwise know and enjoy. People hear or read the perennial philosophy, which is simply that we become what we seriously set out to become, what we decide to think about. And they say, yes, that's true, but they can't believe it. It's too simple, too uncomplicated for a complicated world. And so they so often tend to run in circles, settling for one expediency after another, trying to take what looks like a safe course, the course of prudence, and all the time, year after year, they're proving in their own lives the truth of the philosophy. It's always good to hear one's deeply held beliefs corroborated, especially from so distinguished a gentleman in so dramatic and historic a setting. Make up your mind about what you want to do, and stay with it until you do it. And then you can make up your mind to do something else, and do that too, and you can go on doing that, and you will anyway, one way or another, all the years of your life. No, it isn't easy sometimes, making up one's mind about what it is one wants to do. Every decision carries with it a certain amount of sacrifice. That's why people often spend so much time agonizing over a menu in a restaurant. If you order the pot roast, you've got to pass up the steak, and the trout, and the lobster, and all those other wonderful and enticing things. But decide anyway. There's going to be another day for something else. The secret is to listen to that little voice that tells you when you first see the menu what to order. Oh, and before you order, don't ever ask anyone, what are you having? That kind of thing can become a way of life.